nobody's daughter should ever get murdered. Just as a wonderful, loving, and devoted mother who I'm sure made sure her daughter was safe right to the end.
Tonight, fast-breaking developments in the case of that young mom missing from Maine whose body was found late yesterday. Just in, we're getting news just a little while ago on the autopsy. Listen to this.
At this juncture, the cause and the manner of death remain pending. It remains pending due to the toxicology results having to be returned. It could take 6 to 8 weeks for the toxicology results to come back and for additional investigation to be done.
20-year-old Krista Dittmeyer vanished on Saturday. Her car was found abandoned but running at a New Hampshire ski resort. Yeah, the engine's running, the hazard lights flashing, and her 14-month-old baby daughter was in the back seat. Thank God the child was not hurt. Tragically, her mom met a very different fate. Krista's sister says she thinks somebody forced Krista out of her car. She believes Krista persuaded this person heroically. She persuaded this person to leave her baby behind so the child would not be hurt. Krista's body was pulled from a retaining pond about a quarter of a mile away from her abandoned car yesterday. Now, startling new details about the mystery surrounding her death have just emerged. Here's what we're learning tonight. Krista's boyfriend, who is also her little baby's father, is in prison on a cocaine trafficking conviction. Cocaine trafficking conviction. It turns out the brother of this boyfriend and a buddy of his were stopped by cops Tuesday night around midnight in the woods near the ski resort, in the very area where the abandoned car was. Cops say the men claimed they were there looking for Krista. At midnight, they were looking for Krista. Her body was found soon after. Well, the buddy has been arrested and charged with concealment. What was he concealing in cops' minds? Meantime, cops still don't understand why Krista, who lived in Portland, Maine, drove all the way to Conway, New Hampshire, with her daughter, no less. But they say she had, quote, a number of social contacts in the area. These are random pieces of this mysterious puzzle. How will they all come together? Give me a call, 1-877-JVM says, 1-877-586-7297. Straight out to Ken Altshuler, radio talk show host at WGAN 560 AM in Portland, Maine. Ken, you have your ear to the ground. You're talking to your sources. What is going on? What's the theory as to why Krista was killed?
Well, first, Jane, as you know, Kyle Acker, the father of her child, is from Conway. Let's not forget that. His brother...
Where the body was found.
Correct. Where Richard Acker was looking for her supposedly at midnight in the woods with Corey Poland, his friend. What were they doing there? As you said, midnight, you're looking for a body. I think when this is all over, Jane, we're going to find that maybe Krista was not as innocent as everyone wants to think she was.
Well, listen, she is the victim here. And
yes,
her family is devastated. And I do not want to blame the victim. Now, we know that her boyfriend, the one who's in prison now, was in prison for drug trafficking. And
yes,
they were living together when he was allegedly, and now he's been convicted of selling drugs, cocaine and other drugs. They found those drugs in the house that they shared. My question is, could it be somebody who felt somehow wronged in a drug deal and is retaliating against her for what the boyfriend who's now in prison had done?
Jane, that's a very good question. Of course, what was Krista doing in a parking lot at 6:30 in the morning, Saturday morning? The ski resort's not open. What was she doing there? And the other question, Jane, is the baby wasn't hurt. Now ask yourself this question. Who would not hurt a baby in the back seat? Maybe the baby's uncle, Richard Acker, maybe an accomplice who is a female who's not likely to hurt a baby. I think there's far more to this, Jane.
Let me say that this brother of the boyfriend, the prison boyfriend, the brother who was found supposedly looking for Krista's body in the very area where the body was ultimately discovered yesterday, is not considered a suspect. We've reached out to his attorney and have not heard back, but we want to be fair here, and if he or the attorney or the friend or their attorney wants to come on, they're all invited on to tell their side. Now, a short time ago, the New Hampshire Attorney General held a news conference revealing more about Krista's tragic death. Listen to this.
The case remains active and ongoing. Members of the state police, the Conway Police Department, and the FBI continue to investigate this matter as a suspicious criminal case.
Now, we heard the Attorney General say it would take a good 6 to 8 weeks to get the toxicology back from Krista's autopsy in order to determine the manner of Krista's death. So I want to go out to Steve Moore, former FBI agent. Why do you think that particular fact was emphasized?
Well, I think that was emphasized because they don't have an obvious cause of death. It could be drowning. She was in water, and they're not ready to go. They're not ready to commit to anything. The other thing is, I think that this probably has something to do with her husband or his business. I agree with you on that. I don't think she went there voluntarily, and I think that somebody was with her. So you should be looking for car tracks in the area. I'm sure they are looking for car tracks in the area.
Well, wait a second. There is a second vehicle, and I want to go back to Ken Altschuler on that. I was actually thinking that they were talking about toxicology to determine whether or not there were any drugs in her system at the time of her death, which is also a possibility. We have no idea. We don't know what would turn out. Again, we are not blaming the victim here. This poor girl, this beautiful young mother, is dead, and our hearts go out to her family. But let's cover that first, Ken.
Well, certainly there was a second car. Once again, we have to look at Richard Acker and Corey Poland. How did they get there? Probably a car. No other cars in the area. Doesn't it scream out that that would be maybe the other car? But the blood, Jane, the blood evidence was in Krista's car, not the other car. So is there evidence that they have to find? I think you're going to find that drugs were involved. I think you're going to find, Jane, it was not stranger abduction. I think that you're going to find that maybe there's more to the story, and drugs is at the bottom of all of it.
Well, here's my big issue. Coincidence or concealment? Kyle Acker, the baby's father and Krista's boyfriend, is behind bars. Kyle's brother and a buddy of the brother are in the spotlight tonight because they were stopped by cops in the woods near the ski resort around midnight the day before Krista's body was found. They told cops they were there to look for Krista. They also said they found a flip-flop she was wearing when she vanished. Now, I'm curious as to how they knew that she was wearing flip-flops. Maybe that was reported somewhere in the news. The buddy of the brother was arrested and charged with willful concealment. What are your thoughts on that, criminal defense attorney Jeff Brown?
Yeah, we don't have that charge in Florida, but what it typically is means that he's not answering questions. They have questions that they wanted him to answer, and he just wouldn't answer them. So it looks like that's what it is. It sounds like somebody that's not cooperating with law enforcement. But, you know, Ken's 100% right here, too. When we talk about stranger abductions, those cases are very, very rare, and especially at a ski resort at 6:30 in the morning. You really just don't have that where a stranger just abducts somebody. So I think everybody is on the right path here, which is this crime is going to get solved because it's somebody that she knew or was related to her in some form or fashion. This isn't just some random stranger that just came up to her at 6:30 in the morning and did this.
By the way, the sister said that she was wearing flip-flops. I got to go to Mara, Indiana. Your question, your thought, ma'am.
Hi, Jane. My comment is I'm certainly absolutely not blaming the victim because nobody deserves anything like that to ever happen to them. But obviously the boyfriend was not a real high upstanding character. So when do we become responsible for the choices that we make? And when do us women learn that if we make bad choices, we put ourselves in a position where bad things can happen to us?
Exactly.
Well, you're absolutely right. This is a tragedy. It's a cautionary tale. But again, this girl is dead. She leaves behind a beautiful 14-month-old child. Her family is distraught, devastated, crushed, broken. We don't want to add to their agony. Ken, I'm going to give you the last word. You wanted to say something.
Yes, Jane, I want to tell you the concealment charge. I can give you some information. The concealment charge is a red herring. Corey Poland had an outstanding warrant for shoplifting, and concealment meant that he was in the store with the merchandise hidden. He was not caught outside the store. That's a concealment. It's not weapons, and it's not relating from that night.
Well, it sounds like a cast of characters who are trouble-prone in the woods around midnight searching for someone. It doesn't add up. We're going to stay on top of this mystery, so please stay with us. We got to leave it right there. Thank you, panel. Paris Hilton and her boyfriend.